there, welcome into the show. My name is Chase Sr., and you're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now. Thank you so much for clicking on today's show and supporting the channel and the movement. So many talented content creators out there who cover the Eagles here on YouTube. So many ways for you to get your Eagles coverage, whether it be on podcasts, YouTube, on the radio, on television, or whatever. So anytime you decide to hang out here with us, we really do appreciate that. Coming up on the show, a triple dose of good news for Eagles fans going into Saturday's Week 16 game against the Washington Commanders. But let's start here. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and support the show. It keeps the lights on in the studio. It keeps the content free. As you can see, we're 77 people away from 140,000 subs, so lock us in today. Triple dose of good news. What you love to see. Point number one, this Eagles offense all year going into that Chargers game had been in a precarious spot. And the same issues that we were talking about with this Eagles offense in week one continued to surface every single week. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm very confident in saying this. I think this Eagles offense has found a groove. How do you want your quarterback to respond when there's pressure mounting? When there's noise and a lot of drama across the city of brotherly love? When he's getting ripped by fans, media members? When some people within the Eagles organization are leaking things to the media? How do you want your quarterback to respond to all of that? You want your quarterback to go out there, silence the haters, ball out, and dominate. That's exactly what Jalen Hurts did against the Las Vegas Raiders, coming off a game in which he had to face a lot of adversity when he turned it over 5 times against the Chargers, including a pick that ended the game in overtime. And so, I think this Eagles offense is just starting to get rolling here. And what I loved from this offensive unit against Las Vegas was how Hurts played in general. Sharp, decisive, and efficient. He was very dynamic with his legs, either with designed and called quarterback runs or being able to create out of structure. I loved how efficient the Eagles were under center and how they called plays from under center to get the pass game, play action game working in addition to the run game. This is a credit to this Eagles collaborative coaching staff led by Nick Sirianni, Kevin Patullo, and Scott Loeffler, who we've talked a lot about over the last few weeks. And it's also a credit to a guy in Parks Frazier, the pass game coordinator, for drawing some things up with this Eagles offense as well. Smart, creative, modern-day concepts. We've been asking for this. We've been begging for this. And finally, over the last 2 games, we've seen this Eagles offense alter and adjust some of the things that they do on the offensive side of the pill. And really the biggest thing from that Raiders game was the Eagles getting back to their foundational elements of an offense. Getting back to what their identity was last year. Being balanced, running it, and having the pass game work off of that. That's not a slight to Jalen Hurts. I think any offense out there wants to be a more balanced offense because it's not sustainable to win consistently when you're having to throw it 40-plus times, especially when the weather gets cold during the postseason. Thankfully, against the Raiders, Jalen Hurts did avoid a bad ankle injury, and this play scared a lot of people because of how it looked and how Hurts reacted to it, and then what he said after the game. End of the third quarter, former Eagle Devin White tackles him, and Hurts' ankle gets caught beneath him. Hurts got up right away after he was slow to get up, kind of shaking that off, came back to start the fourth, ripped that seam ball dime to A.J. Brown, and said after the game, we got to get it checked out, but Hurts has been healthy this week, and he's going to play against Washington. And why his health is important. He's the leader of this offense. This offense goes as Jalen Hurts goes. And you're coming off a game in which you finally started to gather momentum, establish a rhythm, find an identity, get that much-needed morale boost. And so with these encouraging signs that we've seen visibly, you want the Eagles to have every opportunity to continue to iron out some of the wrinkles, work on their flaws with the playoffs coming up. And I think that this Eagles team, with what they did in that Raiders game, proved that the 2025 Eagles are not the 2023 Eagles. Remember the 2023 choke job? How could you forget it, right? The Eagles lost 6 of their final 7 games, including a blowout wildcard loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It was really embarrassing, and it was hard to watch, especially coming off that Super Bowl defeat. There was salt in the wound. Late in the year at Lincoln Financial Field, the Eagles lost to the 3-12 Arizona Cardinals, and they lost that game by giving up 15 unanswered points in the third quarter and a go-ahead touchdown late in the game. And I've continued to say this, but this 2023 team is different than the 2025 team because of the talent, because of the coaching, but because this defense this year is worlds better than the 2023 defense, and the defensive coordinator is an all-time great. What's also great for Philadelphia here, as we continue to give you so much good news during this segment, is that the good vibes seem to be back for the Eagles. The in-season Hard Knocks has been pretty fascinating as far as some of the stuff that you see behind the scenes. And after Jalen Hurts threw that seam ball to A.J. Brown for that touchdown, which put Philadelphia up 31-0 to start the fourth quarter, Hurts comes to the sideline and goes up to Nick Sirianni and says, "I got you, baby." And then Nick Sirianni says, "You better say great fucking design," which is great because it's the quarterback and the head coach showing that they have a great relationship, that they're excited for one another and supporting one another, but also that the Eagles are working with some of these newer creative designs to help to maximize the quarterback, maximize playmakers, and put people in a position to succeed. And Hurts responded to that by saying, "I put it up the seam," and Nick Sirianni said, "Yeah, you did." I just think that given the Eagles' offense struggling all year, the weight of the city on them, and that's expectations, but also how poorly they've played, they needed to have a game like this to lift the pressure off of themselves, to feel good about themselves once again, to just smile. Human nature is a thing. And that's why I put stock into that Raiders performance. There's also this. We have to give credit to this Eagles offensive coaching staff, Nick Sirianni, Kevin Patullo, Scott Loeffler, for making the necessary adjustments on offense to get this offensive unit on track and to maximize Jalen Hurts. And Hurts gave credit on Tuesday to Sirianni and Patullo for marrying the run and pass game with under center calls. And Hurts has been very efficient this season when operating from under center. In the shotgun, 5.4 yards per attempt and a QBR of 38.4. And sometimes, whether it's a run or a pass, the Eagles offense was very predictable in the shotgun. But under center, play action can get going. You can take some shots downfield. Plus, it's easier to run the ball from under center. And look at the efficiency for Hurts on under center snaps this season. Yards per attempt skyrockets to 10.5. His QBR nearly doubles to 60.8. This has been a big key in helping to unlock this Eagles offense the last 2 games. What you love to see. That's only one part of what we're getting to on today's show as far as the triple dose of good news, so don't you dare go anywhere. Let's first get to our sponsor, Tushy. Tushy, making today's Philadelphia Eagles now possible. And for all of us who love the Tush Push, it's only fitting that Eagles Now is brought to you by Tushy, the everyday luxury bidet. You have to check it out for yourself. And you can save big on Tushy by using the code CHAT at hellotushy.com/chat. What am I talking about here? I got you. Tushy is the everyday luxury bidet that instantly transforms your bathroom habits and bottom health for life. Whether you're shopping for a bro, CEO, daddy, activist, or somebody who, I don't know, lights their farts on fire, it's the gift that refuses to pick a lane. Luxurious, practical, techie, and so easy to use. 99% of people who wash with Tushy Wave feel cleaner and fresher after going to the bathroom. Tushy Wave instantly modernizes your daily routine and bathroom with a super sleek seat plus 2 separate front and rear nozzles for the most complete clean. Every Tushy bidet easily attaches to your existing toilet without the need for additional plumbing. I'm telling you, this is daily decadence with practical benefits. Over half the people who wash with Tushy soothe their hemorrhoids, and 9 out of 10 people reduce itching and discomfort. Instead of wiping endlessly with toilet paper, Tushy pristinely removes 99% of bacteria while protecting your natural skin barrier thanks to one natural ingredient. That natural ingredient, water. Do-it-yourself install takes less than 10 minutes. So here you go. For a limited time, our listeners get 10% off their first bidet order when you use the code CHAT at checkout. That's 10% off your first bidet order when you use the code CHAT at hellotushy.com/chat. All right. This defense continues to show us that they are Super Bowl caliber and that they are peaking at the right time. To start the year, kind of like in 2024, they had their ups and downs as a defensive unit. They had some of their blemishes, but man, especially since the bye week, this defense has really found its stride. Which brings me to this. How lucky are we as Eagles fans for Philadelphia to employ Vic Fangio? The last 2 years, he has done a hell of a job as a defensive coordinator for this football team. And look at how this Eagles defense has performed since week 10. First in opponent completion percentage, first in fourth down defense, second in opponent passer rating, third in points allowed per game, third in pressures with 90, third in quarterback hits, third in yards per pass allowed, tied for third in forced fumbles. Nick Sirianni loves to emphasize this. Fourth in sacks, which is huge, tied for fifth in takeaways. Vic Fangio, we appreciate you. And this is why it's so vital for this Eagles offense to improve. If you get better offensive play paired with this defense and you look at a wide open NFC, there might not be a team that can stop Philadelphia in the NFL postseason. You also look at the AFC. There isn't a great team over there. And when the Eagles are playing their best football, they are a great team. And they are battle tested. They do have a championship DNA. Which brings me to this, that the Eagles are, in fact, battle tested. When the playoffs come around, when you play in this city, physically and mentally, you want to be Teflon. You want to be bulletproof. And when you play in this city, if you handle it well, which I think is a big credit to Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts for how they handle the pressure from the media and the fan base, you get to the playoffs, you have some difficult opponents, you're already calloused by the time that the hardest part of your season comes around. You also pair that with the fact that this Eagles schedule all year has been a gauntlet with all these short weeks. This is why, if the offense gets better, the sky's the limit for this football team. Now, Zach Berman, a great follow on X, covering the Eagles for The Athletic, put this article out. It's week 16. The Eagles can clinch the NFC East earlier than at any point in the Nick Sirianni era with the favorable path to the 2 or the 3 seed. Who would have signed up for that in August? Any of us coming off a Super Bowl championship. But Berman then quote tweeted that with this. One thing discussed in that article. The Super Bowl runs can sometimes be sanitized as entirely glorious in hindsight, but there have always been turbulent Decembers. Last season, remember how the passing game was considered a problem entering Week 15 and Jalen Hurts suffered a concussion in the divisional loss in Week 16 against the Commanders? In 2017, Carson Wentz tore his ACL in Week 14. There were questions about Nick Foles entering the postseason. So those 2 points right there. Last year, Eagles won a Super Bowl. 2017, Philadelphia won a Super Bowl. In 2022, Eagles made it to the Super Bowl. Remember when Jalen Hurts was injured? In Week 15, the Eagles lost back-to-back games, and they needed Week 18 to clinch the NFC East and the number 1 seed. In 2004, remember when Terrell Owens was injured in Week 15? Eagles lost their final 2 games while mostly resting starters. What happened that year? They made it to the Super Bowl. So a good point made by Zach Berman here. The key is to get into the tournament, get hot at the right time, and the Eagles right now might be getting hot at the right time. Don't forget to give me a follow on X, Instagram, and TikTok. I love giving you informative, insightful coverage. We want to be creative with a lot of the content that we give you, and I'm doing this here on YouTube. I'm doing it here on my social media pages, and I just started that TikTok page, so hit me up over there.